Hello YouTube, this is Fabian with the Gay Christian Collab, and today we have a special presentation. I'm very pleased to introduce you the new member of the Gay Christian Collab, Emily. I met Emily through the Gay Christian Network. We met here in Orlando, and she is an amazing young girl. So I'm very excited that she's going to be part of our collab. So without further ado, here's Emily with her coming out story. Check it out. Thank you.
Hello YouTube, my name is Emily and I'm here to share my coming out story. My coming out story is going to sound quite a bit different than everybody else's, I would imagine, mainly because I'm kind of in the middle of my story right now. So not everybody knows I'm out yet. I haven't come out to my family yet. I'm coming out to YouTube before I come out to my family, so it's kind of a little bit scary. But I feel like it's a step God's asking me to take, so here I am. Growing up, I kind of grew up in a very difficult background. I was an adult at 6 years old and running the house and taking care of my siblings. Had a lot of responsibility at a very young age. And I pretty much went through the first 18 years of my life in survival mode. So, you know, it didn't really occur to me to think about boys or girls or anything like that because I was focused on just getting through each day with minimal damage. So that kind of developed, kind of stunted everything for a while. It wasn't until I gave my life to Christ and moved out into my own apartment about 4 years ago that I started even exploring romantic relationships, thinking about that kind of thing. What do I want? That kind of went through different phases when I moved into my own apartment. I kind of went through a kid phase where I kind of explored different Legos and stuff like that because I was never allowed to play growing up. So I kind of went through the playing phase. I went through a movie phase as well. And the movie phase is kind of what triggered my journey with my sexuality. It started out with me watching a bunch of movies, and that kind of developed into me watching my favorite scenes on YouTube, which happened to be romantic and sexual in nature. And from there, it just kind of snowballed over the next couple of years. Eventually, I found myself looking at the woman instead of the man, and I didn't really realize that's what I was doing until I stumbled upon this show. It's a Canadian show called Lost Girl. And I really shouldn't have been watching the show anyway, just because it was stirring up a lot of lust and stuff in me, particularly for the lesbian relationship on the show. And I was addicted to it. And so I tried to block YouTube on my iPod, and I tried to block it on my computer, and I completely screwed up Internet Explorer on my computer trying to block my access to YouTube, and I haven't been able to use Internet Explorer since. I haven't been able to figure out how to fix it. But, for 4 years, I kind of ignored my behavior and just kind of swept it under the rug. When it did really bother me, I would pray about what I thought was a generic lust problem. I thought I was just lusting in general. And, I'd pray about it, I'd read books, and I'd read through these prayers, and I'd do these exercises to try and purify myself, and nothing worked at all. I'd stop for a few days, and then it would just come back all that much stronger, and I didn't know how to deal with these feelings, so I just kind of did what I did when I was at home, and shoved them down and suppressed them and tried not to think about it. And that worked up until about November last year when I started a new job where all of a sudden I was exposed to all different kinds of people, and I was exposed to gay people for the first time. I'd seen gay people, I knew a few gay people, but I'd never been exposed to gay couples on a regular basis. And it started these questions in me of just being really curious about their relationships and what their relationships were like and being drawn to them, especially the lesbians. And I remember one day I was at work and I was talking to these two women and I thought they were sisters. And so I was like, oh, are you guys sisters? And they're like, no, we're partners. And there was a really awkward pause there for a moment. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. How long have you guys been together? And they were like, you know, we've been together for 40 years. And I had never heard of a gay or a lesbian relationship that lasted that long. And, you know, I've heard of few marriages between straight people that have lasted that long. And just seeing this love between these two women for each other, and realizing that was something that I wanted. And that was about February this year. And so I started researching slowly. I was very uncomfortable with it. I was not comfortable with being honest about who I was. Mainly I was trying to prove to myself that I'm straight, but that didn't work. Every time I'd come across articles, I'd be like, no, that's not me, so I'm not gay, I'm straight. But a few weeks later, I'd find myself back in the exact same position of going, it does not add up. So about May, I was watching, I think, The Fosters on Netflix, and I saw the wedding episode, and that episode is just absolutely beautiful to me. And I was watching it, and I just kind of realized that that's what I want. And I don't want that with a guy, I want that with another woman. So I talked to two of my friends, and I didn't tell them that I was gay. I told them that I was wrestling with having gay feelings towards women and being attracted to women. And surprisingly to me, they were not at all shocked or surprised by that. Apparently everybody knew I was gay but me. And that kind of started this journey for me of starting to get comfortable with my sexuality. I was not comfortable with the fact that I was gay, or I am gay, and I still wrestle with this because I love the Lord, and it was very difficult for me to try and balance how can I love Jesus as much as I do and be gay, because I was raised to believe it's one or the other, and you hear that all the time in our society. You can't have both. It's one or the other. You either end up suppressing your sexuality and denying who you are, or you end up abandoning your faith, which is even worse and even more lonely. So I told God, I said, you know, I'm not going to be okay with this unless I meet some gay Christians that love Jesus as much as I do and are gay. I'm not going to be okay with this until I have relationships with these people and I see their faith and they're walking it out and I can see that in their life. And that's kind of a dangerous request because God answered it. I found GCN. I started joining into the conversations on GCN. I just kind of sat back at first and watched. And I started out this conversation with one person in particular, and she shared her story with me, and it was remarkably similar to mine, which was very encouraging. Because she understood exactly where I'm at. She's a little further along than I am. So it was very encouraging. And then I started going to the group that I'm going to now, that we meet about every 2 weeks. And that's how I met the guys on this channel. And they asked me to be a part of this. And I decided that I feel like this is something God wants me to do. It's a little bit different than what I thought I would be doing as far as my calling goes. But I'm kind of trusting God with it and saying, okay, I'm going to step out and do this and hope that, you know, He protects this and that I'm able to come out to my family and that they don't find out via YouTube, because that would make a very bad situation much worse. So I'm finding a lot of support on GCN, and, you know, I'm slowly coming out to the people in my life that I know are going to be supportive. I'm being very selective about who I tell, just because that protects me as I'm kind of going through this journey. So, because the most important thing for me is staying very focused on my faith and trusting God with this and walking this out with Him. So I'm telling people that I know are not going to try and change who I am, but are also going to hold me accountable to remain pure and to continue to stick to my values and my beliefs. So that's my coming out story as of right now. A year from now, it could look very different, but that's what it looks like right now. I do want to encourage you guys, if you guys are in the closet or, just starting to wrestle with this question of, am I gay, am I bisexual, am I straight, am I trans, whatever, there are Christians out there who love God and are going through the same things you are, and they're going to love you and support you. And I would encourage you guys to seek out that support and that help, because it's going to make your journey a lot easier. And it's going to be painful, it's going to be difficult, period, but it's a lot easier when you know that you have some people that you can be real and be honest with and be yourself. So God loves you guys, regardless of your orientation, gender, or anything else that people might tell you would be a barrier. And He made you. He knows you. He knows your orientation. It's not a surprise to Him. And He wants to be in a relationship with you. And He wants to use you. You're still called. So stay close to Him and trust Him. Keep looking out for support. This channel is definitely an avenue where you can do that. And join GCN. Try to find some groups in your area where you can get some support and some accountability and start to grow in this. So that's all for now, guys. I'll see you guys next time. God bless.